Hi, this is the PPUK Podcast. My name's Lee. I'm one of the founding members of the PPUK Podcast. We have several people joining us this evening, and we're going to talk about the Sign of the Times reissue. Handing over to Chopin now.
Hi, I'm Chopin. I'm one of the London Meetup, and obviously I've been, I'm looking forward to talking about 13 vinyl discs of fantastic.
It's just a shame people can't see the actual visual of this video of us doing this on Zoom, and your eyes lighting up as you say it.
Just the idea of it at the moment.
I'm sure I can see drool as well coming down your mouth.
Exactly.
Hi guys, this is Andy. They kind of bust me in when they get going on the 80s stuff because that's my jam.
You're the break glass for anything 80s.
So, and then I just come steaming out and just talk a lot, really. So apologies in advance. Had a lot of fun talking about Love Sexy, but there's a heck of a lot of music to talk about today, right guys?
Yeah.
So we have two new people joining us. We have Paddy and Leah. Start off with Paddy. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Paddy. Long time Prince fan, musician. I play guitar in a, dare I say it, Prince Tribute called Endorphinmachine. And at the moment, the Sign of the Times reissue is probably the only thing that we've got to look forward to. Oh man, I want this album so much for so many reasons and so many bits of it.
Yeah, it was like 2020, and then Prince, they announced Sign of the Times reissue, and the Prince fans were like, yeah, what a great year.
Oh man, it's, for me personally, this is a serious bright light in September that I can focus on, so I am
Seconded,
so
mate.
pumped for this.
And Leah, welcome to PPUK Podcast.
Hiya, thank you for having me. I'm Leah. I'm a lifelong Prince fan. I'm definitely, I think, one of the younger fans, but I'm definitely not a 21ster. I saw him for the first time when I was 10. So super excited about the Sign of the Times release. I think I've maybe been roped in to give the millennials a voice.
Yeah, so I think like everybody here was just when they, after 1999 Deluxe reissue, we was all just going, oh, what's going to be next? And me personally, I thought they were going to do Parade. I was really convinced they were going to do Parade. It would it was going to tie in with Dwayne Tedell's book is going to be next year as well. So I wasn't expecting anything this year. I thought we might get like another Originals Part 2 or something like that to tide us over, and then something come like next year. But when they announced like Sign of the Times Deluxe, and it will be a 13 LP box set, 8 CDs, I mean, I just about forgave 2020 for the COVID.
we sent each other suggestively melting emojis at that point, Chopin.
Yeah, I think I remember some
excited emojis, let's say.
Yeah, I think we were post-verbal at that point. We were just like, we had to get quite a few emojis out of our system before we could actually say the words, I'm looking forward to this.
You could just hear Prince fans falling off their chairs. It was,
yeah,
you could hear it.
Like for so many reasons, because I think like everybody here, when you imagine Sign of the Times deluxe version, there is so much. I mean, even with those 13 discs, there's still stuff that I think that could have gone on there. I mean, that's the problem with Prince and the beauty of Prince, I guess, is that like,
why not all 4 versions of Witness, right? But I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, we're lucky today. The I Can Never Take Your Place of Your Man 1979 demo came out, and which I'm seeing some excited faces, some smiles about.
Well, and the disco Tom Roll intro. That was for those few seconds. Hang on, is this going where? Oh yes, it is. It is Anna.
It's there, yeah.
It sounds surprisingly like the '87 version. The feel of it is really there. Like I was saying to you earlier, Chopin, I felt like I was surprised that it was such a sophisticated production. I thought we were going to get pretty much Prince and an acoustic guitar, and I'm really glad that this kind of weird time traveling artifact exists from 79, because it really does sound like what you said. It sounds like a mashup of Sign of the Times and Dirty Mind or something.
Yeah, I was kind of, I don't know about everybody else, but I was expecting like, the I Feel You for You acoustic.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
I was expecting like something like that, like how Jimi Hendrix's estate has been kind of releasing just kind of jams that he did on his home recorder. And I was kind of expecting that, but when I heard a fully produced track, I was like, okay,
it seems amazingly sophisticated to me, even for Prince at that time.
I think as well, it's really interesting when you listen to that track in comparison to the released album version, you actually see the progression. And I think it's really interesting as well how we all know that every album kind of has a concept and a sound. But I heard that and I got so excited to press play. I didn't even see that it was the 79 version. I just pressed play. And I heard and I was like, oh my God, this sounds like 79. And then I looked and I was like, oh wait, it is. And it's amazing. I think it's a really great way to demonstrate how Prince can take any song and make it fit into the category that he's doing at that time. Because the version we know so perfectly fits on Sign of the Times. It's so perfectly that period of time. And yet you listen to this new version and it could so easily fit onto the album in 79. It's exactly the same fit.
Exactly, and you see just how good the songwriting is. That apart from like, he's famous for his production, he's famous for introducing Lindrum, Minneapolis sound, but you strip all of that away and you've just got a good songwriter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
hook, beautiful. Yeah,
beautiful. I can't believe how fully formed though all of the backing vocals are on there. That it almost sounds like he jumped 8 years ahead. Just said, "Let me learn that." Came back to 79 and just put it down. It's like it doesn't sound quite like anything else I've heard from that era.
Prince is a time traveler. It's official.
Yeah, right. He was a lot of things, but it's an amazing thing to have. It just blows me away that he knew that didn't fit into what he was doing at the time, presumably, and he just thought, "Oh, I'll just put that on the shelf for 8 years, and then I'll take it out and polish it up to be one of my best ever productions."
Also, you can hear how much he's absorbed from, say, like Wendy and Lisa and Claire Fisher productions, like in terms of kind of tonal additions to the later version. That he was always there with good, solid melodic ideas, but like you say, Leah, the development you can hear. You can hear he's 1,000 gigs later. You can hear he's 1,000 hours worth of rehearsals later, and you can hear he's learned a lot from people like Wendy and Lisa, Eric Leeds and Claire Fisher in terms of just nuances to the same melody and the same groove. It's really fascinating.
I think as Prince fans as well, it's kind of amazing to actually notice that, because you listen to the earlier albums and like, yeah, this is amazing, like this is great, and you don't notice that progression at all. But when you have those two to compare, it's nice as fans to sit back and go, actually, he did really develop as a musician. He didn't just pop out and had all this. It grew over the time and he learned a lot.
That's one track out of 6 million then.
This is going to be here all night. We really are going to be here all night.
On the same song.
On the same song. Yeah, exactly. And also you got the live version of this song that's going to be on the video and that's going to be on the record. From the live version from All Checked and the Sign of the Times tour. And it's interesting, like in the movie, how the tour version develops even more still, bringing in the subtleties of Sheila E's playing. And it's we could judge this whole box set on one song.
That is one of the most killer songs live as well. Absolute killer song. For us, it's been part of the sort of spine of sets that we've put together, and from the beginning I was very, very keen on arrangements from Purple Rain tour through to and including sort of Love Sexy tour stuff. That song, that album, the way that it translated to live was just brutally good. Thematically, the power of it. Again, I'm probably flying off in too many different directions now, but the sort of mix of the album as a whole at times can be a tad tepid, in comparison to some of the other stuff. So when I heard that particular album live, probably more on bootlegs than on the Sign of the Times video necessarily, but it's just stunning. It's stunning. The power is stunning.
That's what we're going to get a solution to now, right? We're going to get a newly remastered Sign of the Times. So even your little quibbles there, Paddy, are going to go down the drain, because this is the big one.
It's amazing. I mean, again, holistically, a remaster with a little bit more oomph for the album itself. A lot of people have sort of looked at me and gone, are you sure? Because I said, to be honest, the bit I'm most excited about is that Utrecht gig, because that is a proper document of what that tour sounded like. Again, we've all heard stuff, but this is actually a little bit Pro Tools, a little bit of remastering here and there, blah blah blah. Absolutely cannot wait to be sort of walking at a good pace with that on some expensive headphones banging away in my head. The stuff that's on the DVD, some of which we haven't heard before, well, I'm assuming, I don't know, half of which I don't think most of us have heard before, is actually including like arrangements from the tour rehearsals. So you've got like, is it Slow Love Do Me Baby Adore? And all those can be found in the tour rehearsal stuff. So like right at the end where he does the New Year's Eve stuff, he actually goes all the way back to pre-starting the tour and takes some of the arrangements from the tour rehearsals that he did. I think the Birmingham ones had this stuff on. And I'm just like, oh my God, like listening to Housequake morph into Erotic City or the other way around. Can't remember specific, but it's just like, oh God, I so wear that cleaned up and see it in this context. It's just excitement over spills, really.
I swear to God, your eyes are getting bigger than Chopin's.
I know. And like Chopin, I was kind of the word on the street for the reasons that Chopin outlined was that Parade was coming, which would have been brilliant anyway. And it's still to come. But I mean, Sign of the Times as one big release is just a cornucopia of absolute brilliance. So you're shut up now.
You're looking forward to the live stuff, Paddy. I'm mostly always looking forward to the unreleased stuff, and Chopin is the only person on the planet who's ever so excited about the 7-inch edits.
Which is sold out, isn't it? They're sold out.
Oh no, I don't mean the box. I mean the edits that are going to be.
Right, the edits.
Chopin's always like, well, I've got to have everything to be complete, and I respect that, Chopes. I do.
I also think it shows. I also think, from my personal thing, that if they put in all the 7-inch edits, and I know a lot of people think it's like a waste of space on the big box set. I like with the 1999 deluxe one. I think the fact that they went as far as having a UK B-side edit and an Australian A-side edit shows the kind of research that they're doing, that they're not just looking at random tapes in the that are actually in the vault, because possibly those were made actually in the UK or in Australia by the record companies there. The fact of the matter is they're doing their research to show what was actually released to create a full, rounded package. And for me, I absolutely appreciate that. That's part of it all, of documenting
the archival side of it. I totally get it, Shopes.
I mean, I know it's not like anything new in terms of much, although Housequake has an interesting edit. The Housequake edit has a little interesting edit to it. So you've always got that. But for me, the 7-inch edits, they'll never get any love in the wider thing, because it's not anything that anybody's really excited about. And it's not something that I'm particularly heavily excited by, but it's just like, to me, it's a sign of, they've done the research, they know what, they're completing the circle. There's nothing kind of left waiting for completists. So that's good for me.
I feel that when you get these, you go, I can sleep easier now. It's complete. Good. I do get that.
The itch in my brain has stopped.
It will never stop. We know that.
I'm so going to Photoshop that now. Chopin just sleeping with the deluxe.
Happiness is.
Yeah, happiness is,
Happiness is this box at home.
Can we talk? Can we go all over the place? I guess. Can we talk about the cover a little bit?
Yeah,
that's where I get excited.
Give it to Leah. Let's have some cover love.
Yeah, so everyone's kind of mentioned their little excited bits. I am a sucker for packaging. So if I get a good box, if I get a booklet, if I get a really good cover, that's when I get really excited. And that's why I'm kind of half and half. I'm sure this is going to come up with the price subject matter as well, because there are so many releases and so many options for this release. And as someone that's a real tactile collector, I love, obviously, I buy it for the content. I'm happy to listen on Spotify, but I want to be able to hold the music that I buy, definitely. And all the images I've seen of this look fantastic. I'm obsessed with the fact that they've kind of gone for the same folder that we got with the 1999 release, the same, although it's going to be larger. So I'm really excited about that. And you were mentioning the cover as well. I love that they've gone for an image which is Sign of the Times, but is slightly different to what we've got.
It was an alternate album cover at the time, right? Which I had.
Yeah, Jeff Katz.
Sorry, Lee?
Jeff Katz.
Jeff Katz, right. I'm sure we've all seen that photo before. It's an interesting photo for me because, like, it puts Prince right at the heart of that. It's like the music is radiating out from this sort of spectral kind of power, which is an excellent image. But I'm really glad we get it on the front of the box set, but I still think that the actual cover of the original album is superior in that it's so casually brilliant. It's just like, yeah, I've just made this and I can't even be bothered to stay in frame for the shot. I've just made Sign of the Times. Go listen to it. I'm looking up. I'm going to go play basketball. It's so casual.
He's off recording Love Sexy, you know. Like literally this.
Sorry, Chopin.
No, sorry.
Does anyone know like the story behind that shoot, that it was like a last minute thrown together thing? I was following, I can't think of her name, but it was Prince's makeup artist at the time. She's posted on Instagram a few stories, and that shoot was one of them. It was one of those 3 o'clock in the morning, Prince is shooting, quick, get over here kind of thing. And it was literally the local theatre. And in this story, she goes on to, she contacts someone, her friend at a theatre or something, and says, Prince wants to shoot. Do you have just any random backdrops we could use? Like, we've got loads of props and stuff, but as a theatre, do you have any like backdrops we can use? And they were like, yeah, sure. 3 o'clock in the morning, and got that just across to them just to shoot with. It wasn't planned as a cover. It was just, oh, here's a backdrop and put your props in front of it and off you go.
Wasn't it from the production of Guys and Dolls or something?
Yeah, something really random like that, but it was just literally 3 o'clock in the morning. What have you got?
It is my favourite Prince album cover.
Oh wow, really?
Wow.
Absolutely, it's that half on, half off. It's so Prince. It's so casually excellent, and I think it's the it's the most artistic. Okay, Parade is a close second, but
I think I agree with you, Andy. Yeah. I was just kind of glad they broke away from the sort of silver motif that they had on Purple Rain in 1999. I thought, because I found myself thinking, oh God, that album cover is so good. I hope they don't mess it up by doing something really bleak with sort of just, we'll forget the album, we'll just put a silver background and then the Sign of the Times logo and typeface or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to do.
I was massively, massively pleasantly surprised with what they came up with. Because, again, for me, with him sort of coming through, being centered on it as opposed to off to the side, slightly out of focus type thing, it almost to me feels a bit over romanticized. I know it's kind of like his ghost coming back from the recording. It's kind of merged and translucent, I think a little bit translucent. So fantastic cover as well.
It's an amazing cover. Sorry.
The only thing I was relieved that they didn't go, I agree with the silver thing 100%, but I was so happy they didn't do it on the purple LPs. When they brought out, what was it? It was Rave. When they brought out Rave and it was on purple, I wanted to scream. I'm like, blue. It was screaming for blue. Why is this purple?
Well, I mean, that's going to bring us onto the peach vinyl, which is completely correct, right?
Yeah.
Oh God,
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I think that's going to look beautiful on peach vinyl. I mean, they could have done like one peach, one black, or a marbled peach and black, but I actually like the just plain peach.
To be fair, if they'd done a peach and black, the black vinyl wouldn't have really stood out as a special deal.
Special edition black vinyl.
Brilliant.
Well, you can buy both and mix them up, Shope. So you've got.
It's a way of branding your bog standard vinyl, though.
Yeah, exactly. You could have done a marble. They could have done a marble.
Could never be that cynical, surely.
Oh no!
I do think they listen to the fans. I know me and Chopin have spoken about it before. That they do listen to. I think they do listen to the fan podcasts and other people in the community. And I think a lot of people are happy with the packaging for this. And I think it looks amazing. And
I mean, not just the front cover and the box, but the book we're getting, and also the actual individual sleeves for each disc, Leah. They look stunning.
They look absolutely amazing. I like the fact as well. It's always hard to tell because we've only got the Amazon images and the official release images. I'm looking forward to seeing an actual copy. But as far as I know, the CD release for the full collection, the book is the same size as the LP. Am I right?
I believe so.
It's a 12-inch.
Yeah,
book.
12-inch, the same size.
Oh, wow.
As far as I'm aware, don't take me as gospel. As far as I'm aware, it is still the same size as you would get in the LP. It's like the same book.
All right, so if you've got the CD version, like if you've got the vinyl box set of 1999, the vinyl Sign of Times, they'll fit together nicely. But if you've got the CD version of Deluxe and the CD version of Sign of the Times, they won't stack on the same shelf.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, CD.
Yeah. Someone's OCD's going to go on that one.
I can feel it.
As far as the overall look is, though, I mean, the images are they look so crisp, and all the colours of that tour and of that era. You have the peak, and you have his sort of bright blue in one of them, and but all of the, Sign of the Times for me is his richest, most immersive album. I always think like it's such a golden sounding record, even with the lackluster mixes we've had up till now. It's a golden record, and like everything about it, the iconography, the colouring of the images, the sort of things he was wearing back then, are just everything's so rich and classy. It just really draws you in. Really, it's a warm look, that era.
I like what they've done tying into the other marketing stuff they've done for the T-shirts, they've done the mugs, they've done
badges as well, I think.
Yeah, I love those releases. I think they've really hit the nail on the head in regards to other stuff they've done. The mug in particular, the fact they've done it matte, it looks like it's matte to me with the peach and black.
I have not gone into the mug aspect of this.
The mug is impressive.
We're going to have a dedicated podcast on Prince mugs, I think, I'm sure.
But the graphics on this period are amazing anyway.
What, the typography, the font and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they're going to, the cover, I wonder if they're going to print it on foil, though, even though it's not the kind of silver background. I wonder if they're still going to print it on foil and keep that visual aspect of it.
It looks like... I actually noticed today, it looks like to me on one of the shots I've seen, like they've got it on a matte background with gloss for the actual words.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like to me, that
All
you've
right.
got element rather than foil.
That would be beautiful.
No need to panic, adding no foil has been observed thus far.
I think we're going to have to wait for the unboxing videos by Chopin and Leah. They're going to come, I'm sure. No knife, Chopin. Yeah.
No knife. No, my trusty knife. I know how to wield that thing.
She posts up the video and everyone's like, don't use the knife.
You're more organised than me. When I get like a new release, I just pick up the like closest sharpish object and just hack at it until I'm in. At least
don't do that.
People are having a sort of slightly fainting as they listen to this, Leah.
Sorry.
I can't wait for this box set. I just the fact that it's a hardback book as well, I'm loving, because as lovely as the 1999 one was, you kind of worry as you take it out, because there's so many kind of processes to kind of take the box out, take that out, take the slip out. You're worried about bending the book, but with a hardback book and these kind of vinyls slipping in, I think it looks like a really, like they're up in their game every time. So I'm really excited about this.
This is a solid mother.
Yeah, as much a bit of critique I have about the estate for a variety of reasons. I have to say, in terms of their re-releases, how they box, what they box, how they theme it, and what they're giving, this one's possibly a little bit overpriced, if I'm honest, but they're hitting the nail on the head. They've got take me now, take my money up there. And as one of you has mentioned before, there's like good alternative packages as well, depending what people want. Obviously, there's always the opportunity to listen to everything that's non-visual on Spotify as well. But I think they're doing a good job.
I think if you get it on vinyl, that price difference isn't quite as apparent, but the CDs are really overpriced at the moment.
Yeah. I was a bit disappointed with that. I felt that 1999, which was an awesome release, was fairly fair price. I think it was about 64 quid for the Super Deluxe.
Yeah, it was a good price point.
But coming in at 140, even though it's a bit bigger, I think it's disproportionate.
Well, Amazon really upped the price, didn't they? It came in at 150, and then didn't they for the CD set, and then it went up to 200.
Was it them that did that though, or were there people who came through Amazon as sellers who got more stock, ramped it up? I'm not sure.
It's Amazon.
Amazon.
All right, okay, fair dues. Fortunately, mine's not reserved at that price. Thank God.
The vinyl went up to almost 300 at one point. And then came back down. I think it's roughly. I mean, I reserved it at like 280, and I saw it go up and I saw it come down a bit, but it's not gone below. But because I reserved it at that price, I can
It's me for the CD, because I don't do vinyl simply because I know what the fiscal implications of going down that route after all these years again are, and I just can't face it. But,
have to do vinyl on these guys, on these big guys. 1999 sign, it just has to be. It's too beautiful.
Dude, I can completely appreciate it, and there is a feel and a tonality and a beautiful, gentle, warm crackle. I get it, absolutely get it. Don't get me wrong, but for the CD, the big set, for me, 100 quid would have been a decent price point, I think. But yeah, it has skyrocketed, and I think that is a little bit much.
I mean, it is kind of annoying that we would obviously buy everything for the content, right? And that's where we're at.
Yeah,
it is frustrating. There's no easy way. You can't sort of say, well, let's just release the album and then just let's release the Vault albums on their own as well. I know that doesn't make sense to the company, but it's hard when. I still think they should still kind of release something for the casual fan who wants to get a bit deeper. So, like, if there was a 4 LP set that was the album and the outtakes, maybe, or some of the, I don't know.
I guess they're thinking that those people can stream those. You can stream those tracks.
It's an impossible situation. They want to fleece us and still keep us on side. We kind of want to be fleeced. We'll buy the stuff. Damn it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the 5 of us are very much at the sharp end of the fleecing.
There's a lot more like us out there,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally buying the Vaseline for the Gold Experience reissues. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you.
for my bank balance. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you saw the meme that we created of 2 people going into the bank, and it's like, you're saying this application for a loan is for a Prince album in September, and it's like, yeah, it is.
But think about what you get. I mean, I'm kind of happy in the sense that I know I'm being fleeced. I know what I'm getting in for. I know that I'm part of a niche thing, but part of that money goes towards keeping those tapes in good place,
keeping the estate alive, keeping Paisley Park running.
Exactly. I used to work in an archive. They're probably not getting so much money. Like, Paisley Park is probably hurting in terms of money keeping that place open.
Having Celebration this year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of a willing participant in this kind of price hiking, because as far as I'm concerned, I know it's expensive to keep an archive in like a place like Iron Mountain. It's a monthly bill.
I hope is the money going there? I don't know much about this stuff, so I'll take your word, I hope.
Well, I mean, there'd be profit, obviously, keeping lots of other things going, but the money would be keeping those vault tape. The money goes back, some of the money goes back into keeping that vault open. Well, yeah, if only for proving that it's commercially viable.
Fact of the matter is, if they don't sell many, we're not going to get any more. And in the end, I know the amount of pleasure I will derive from receiving a box set, which, to be honest, I won't even play the discs. I'll read the booklet. I'll put it on the shelf next to 1999. As Leah says, I love that. I like to own no other art. I mean, I'm into lots of other artists. There's no other artist that even vaguely bother with stuff like this. But I want to own it. It's tactile. But the amount of pleasure, there is definitely 140 quid's worth of pleasure there and some. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I just think it was interesting because compared to the 1999 deluxe box set price point, I think they were definitely feeling out the market at that point. And they thought, we can afford to put it at this price and we know it'll sell.
They're really good at this kind of like, it's going to be the only pressing, guys. That's what they've really got at, guys.
Limited edition, limited time period. Buy now.
I am happy to be a sucker, but I know I'm a sucker, okay?
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of in the middle of where everyone is. I think I haven't pre-ordered mine yet at all. I haven't been in a position to at the moment, but when I do, it will just be the deluxe CD set that I'm getting. I would love to own the LP, would absolutely love to, but I've kind of got to a point now, I think ever since he passed, I got to a point where I was like, okay, it's going to get real crazy now. Everything's going to be coming from everywhere. And I kind of made a conscious decision of, I want to own all the content that comes out. I want to have a copy of everything. But at this point now, it's become a little less important to have every version of every single thing. When he was alive, I wanted every single release, everything, because it was official. It had come from him. And I desperately wanted it. Whereas now I've kind of come to the conclusion that we're getting so many different releases. So books, there's everything, and it's becoming so much more expensive, could you believe, that I've kind of had to just sit back and go, okay, as long as I have the content and I'll always go for the best, more affordable option that I find to be a little bit more reasonable.
Are you going to get the
consumer advice? I love it.
Are you going to get the peach vinyl as well?
I wanted to, but didn't it sell out like immediately? Hasn't it already gone?
No, that's just the 7 inches with the peach vinyl. They've got the album that's the peach vinyl that hasn't sold out. That's kind of like, as far as I know, because that's like the 1999 deluxe. They had the 2-disc purple one, and then they had the 4-disc one, which I don't know many people that actually have those 4-disc ones, which is the album plus the remixes and edits.
The 1999 one you mentioned there, Chopin, I think that one goes for quite a lot now. I think even as much as the full deluxe LP set.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Now we're getting into investment.
Well,
that's the thing as well, yeah.
Yeah.
You and yours, but it's spelt like with just the U. This is Prince stuff. But I think like I couldn't justify to myself trying to get that singles box. It's a beautiful box. It's absolutely beautiful. I own all of the original singles from that time. I really wanted it, but it's like, it's going to be $200 with tax and shipping from America. And like, the thing is, there is a cutoff point to me. And I also thought, well, shall I get the peach vine? I don't collect everything. I just don't. But if they make something, you don't have to get it, guys, do you? But
no.
But we've all got our different lines. I cast no shade on anyone who wants to and can afford to do all of that. But I mean, did anyone here go for the singles box? Because I'm very jealous if you did.
I missed out because, like, I was on early shifts and somebody messaged me and said they've still got some, and I kind of like was like, oh, they've still got some, fell asleep, and I had to get up at 5 minutes, and by 5 a.m. it was gone.
But, man, you're slipping, man, you're slipping.
I thought you got them. I thought you
No. My heart didn't sink though. No. Do you know what I mean? It's like if like the vinyl 10-box vinyl 1999. Like, I almost didn't get that. I was like the last copy in the shop. Almost didn't get that. My heart would have sunk then. If I don't get a copy of the 13-disc vinyl, my heart will sink. The single box set, it didn't.
I loved it, but it's just going to sit on my shelf. It's just a nice box. Someone's made a nice box, and it's going to cost me $200. And there's a line.
Yeah,
there's a line.
I think that I Feel For You one, the Nothing Compares to You one. I really like. I had to have those. The Rock and Roll Is Alive one that they gave out. That one I had to get. Like I got on the eBay. Maybe I'll get it in a year's time. The box, maybe when it's more. I know it'll be more expensive, but who knows? But it's not one where my heart sinks. The main box sets with everything in. Come on, Dorothy Parker with horn section. I just really want to know what that horn section is. Is it like basically the one with the live version with like Madhouse 4 as the? Is it that version?
I've got a horn section, so I really want to know what the horn.
Yes.
When did he start? When did he start putting horns on like TV appearances of Dorothy Parker? It was like in the 2000s, in the noughties, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate that horn arrangement. I really hope it's not that horn line. At the end of each line or at the end of each little section, it just ties up the song, which really just like seems too neat and tidy to me when the original song is so free and jazzy without those horns. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's like, but my heart will sink a little if it's that same arrangement, although I'll probably still find it within myself to go, yeah, but it sounds different when Eric's playing it. No, it's better, but
Amen.
Eric Leeds was my favourite. Eric and Atlanta are my favourite horn section here.
Man, from somebody who orchestrates and messes with the arrangements, Eric Leeds and Atlanta Bliss are the shit. Cold, sharp, on point. The players won. Fantastic.
And like Eric always added this absolute weight to Prince at that point. In particular, Eric he adds this kind of authority to everything Prince does around that time, which I get goosebumps thinking about how good Eric Leeds was.
Well, for me, like the biggest ever influence on Prince for me of the people he's worked with was Wendy and Lisa, and I think that was the most positive one. I think that laid the ground for other people who influenced him, how he took and used that influence. But Eric Leeds, huge, and Claire Fisher, obviously, but Eric Leeds for me is one of the big ones. And live, I remember like watching some of the One Night Alone stuff. So you might have Candy Dulfer there, you might have Maceo there. But with no disrespect to them, obviously, and they sound like themselves in their own respect. But I only ever wanted to hear Leeds play.
I agree. He added something weirdly sort of intellectual and thoughtful to Prince at that time, and he really just understood what Prince needed then, and just gave it like, you just need a little bit of civility here. There's something. Is impeccable taste, I think.
Yeah,
I hear you so much.
We should talk.
even as an NPG fan or whatever, I think the horn sections they're the most interesting. It loves for me. Parade tour through the Love Sexy tour are the most interesting. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the horn heads. I love the kind of powerhouse jabs that they give. But
the 80s tours were the shit. They were the shit. And for the
horn section, yeah.
A lot of it was to do with the brass.
I prefer this band. I prefer the kind of Sign of the Times band to the Revolution. Personally, I love the Revolution, but Sign of the Times tour band for me is I just
very difficult, very very difficult for me. I'm not close second.
Imagine you build your sound on Bobby Z, which is Bobby Z is like Ringo. He's again that question of taste.
Underrated. I know
totally underrated.
Yeah.
So in the pocket for Prince. Prince rated Bobby enough to build his entire sound on Bobby for the first 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And the Revolution are a special kitchen. And then he goes, well, I can also do this kind of more nimble thing, which sophisticated in a different way. But both parts of those equation are like Prince's two greatest bands for me.
Well, I think there's when we're talking like favorites and stuff, like with Prince bands, like you have personal favorites, but I mean, he didn't play with bad musicians. I mean, like we're talking about favorites. There's usually a time you got into it thing that influences your love of, you know, somebody who's getting into it around controversy is kind of gonna love the whole revolution thing. Somebody who's getting in around parade is gonna end up loving the Sign of the Times stuff because it's their leap forward. And like myself and Lee, NPG stuff.
I think we're slowly turning Lee. We think we're bringing him over to the 80s side.
Come on, Lee, the water's fine. The 80s is the place to be.
Lee is saying nothing, and his avatar is just...
he's muted.
I'm here. I'm being converted. I'm listening to the talking. I'm being converted.
Lee.
I think one of the ways...
Come to the 80s side.
Yeah. One of the ways of putting it back...
Until he listens to Diamonds and Pearls. And then he's way back on the 90s.
You know that's going to be the reissue that I'll be like, yay!
Oh, God.
The sum of the parts of the revolution was its strength. Individually, perhaps less so in terms of depth and breadth of musicianship, stylistics and eclecticism. But the sum of the parts and the way that they had been rehearsed, the sharpness, the oneness, the militaristic aspect, they were amazing.
They could run a groove. They could run a groove like a machine for hours.
When he went to the Love Bexy band, you had more seasoned players there and more background and power,
which is perfect because he's starting to touch on that massive scheme of soul and R&B and jazz. And so those players really suit where he's going there. But again, it's Prince, so nothing's going to be straightforward. Everything's an abstracted version of jazz. Everything's an abstracted version of R&B. For instance, let me like Housequake to me is just like it's a cartoon. It's James Brown on diet pills. It's and like Housequake.
I like that. James Brown on diet pills.
Right. It's like it's such a sort of brilliant sort of shimmery burlesque cartoon of what James Brown was, what black R&B was, and it's something entirely new. Like Housequake is not quite rap. Housequake is a very rare beast indeed, I think, in his canon. And
it's interesting because I find it like Funkadelic doing James Brown. Like, you know, the cartoonness of Funkadelic with the structural kind of groove of James Brown. That's how I think of Housequake.
See, I always think, but when Funkadelic did cartoon, I mean, that's kind of what they did. It was all very, it was kind of tight, but it was also very kind of larger than life, big kind of. And when Prince does it, he does it in this kind of clipped way. He does it in this kind of like, I'm going to get on the mic, I'm going to murder you, then I'm going to shut up, then I'm going to come out and just jab you again. It's a much sort of. It's a much quieter sort of attack than Parliament. It's like a studious kind of. I don't know. I keep coming to like intellectual and studious, but like I keep thinking of the photos of Prince on the inner sleeves of Sign of the Times, where he's wearing those glasses and he just looks perfectly calm.
Yeah,
and he's sort of sitting there like a Buddhist monk. But then you turn the record on and it's this explosion of perfect. It's perfectly. You know what it is, Chopin? It's control that he has at this time. It's a perfectly controlled attack.
That's actually one of the points that I was thinking about earlier when you were discussing your favourite bands. And I was thinking because I thought to myself how different to me the two bands are, The Revolution and sort of the Love Sexy Sign of the Time lineup. And I was trying to differentiate what that difference was for me. And it kind of clicked in my head that for me, The Revolution really felt like a family. It felt very friendly and almost loving and really close. And when we move on to the next band, to me it felt like his position in the band changed, and it felt for me he was much more of a band leader. He was the boss in this situation, and that was the difference for me. So you're talking about it being more controlled, and I think that's kind of all linking.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that derives from the fact that the Revolution were the band that made it. The next band was the band that were there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were all big personalities and players that could take that as well, and they weren't dominated by that control. Like when you watch the Sign of the Times live video, when one of my favourite bits is when basically he gives the band a day off and he says, right, we're going to do Forever in My Life now. Start up the drum machine. You can all just come and dance while I do everything else. and what I love about it is that at one moment, the band can be this battleship of different effects and different techniques going on. And then the next second, he just says, press play on the machine and I will do everything. You have a dance. So he can go from tiny to expansive. And the band at that point, they look like they're having the time of their lives. It really feels like a family there. And you've just got, you know what he put into it at this point? It was that whole gospel churchy thing that Miles Davis talked about.
Yeah.
It's got that flickery stuff.
It's interesting because I think that's why I like this band more than the Revolution, is because I like band leader Prince rather than family Prince.
Was Prince ever family Prince?
Well, it's true. And I think also my take on Housequake might stem from the fact that I listened to Sign of the Times, the movie, before I heard the album. So to me, like kind of my ear kind of, apart from say something like Sign of the Times or You Got the Look where I heard it on radio first, the album tracks, If I Was Your Girlfriend, I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man, to me, and Playing the Sunshine, to me, my go-to version is the movie version rather than the album version.
I absolutely love them both equally, but in different ways. Like Housequake is such a sublime production on record. It's made of exactly the right stuff, and it's the weirdest thing, but it's bang on, dead on it, man.
It's that jumpy bass, that dun 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 dun.
But it's got about two bass lines, two different drum tracks. There's so much going on. Sorry, I'm just running my mouth. I'll shut up.
No.
Go, man, go.
Play that thing. But
that guitar stab there. Ching, ching, ching.
Like I'm guessing that everybody here has this experience, like with Prince, with no other musician. You can go back and listen to a track that you've heard 700 times, and then listen 701, you hear something
new.
else.
Yep.
And you're like,
always.
I mean, apart from the fact that he made thousands of songs, how much did he code into each song?
Seriously, I go out of my way on certain tracks for reproducing stuff and playing stuff and deciding how to do it. I forensically go over stuff, but it's still exactly what you say. And then there's some things like, hang on a minute, was that actually there before?
Yeah.
Was it so perfect, sublime, and part of the solution that I've missed that before? Genius, sheer genius.
The attention to detail in his best work is absolutely jaw-dropping.
I remember when I first started really getting into Prince when I was tiny. And I actually consciously remember being so small, and then he would make just a little sound on a record or something. And I used to sit there for a good 10 minutes and go, what made him put that there? Yeah. Why there? Why that noise there? When did that enter his head?
Well, my big theory is that, and Chopin will kind of have a different view because Chopin's a big dancer, but but I have this sort of theory about Prince as a dance artist, and I don't think he is. I think he sounds like he's a dance artist, but really what he wants you to do is sit down like in your, like as if you're listening to an album in a bedsit like Joni Mitchell, and listen to every nuance. And he wants to communicate with you. He does it with his 4 on the floor, but he wants you to hear every little and every little squeak, and he wants to really talk to you with every detail. Like he's a head artist. He's a head artist.
I would agree with you with that. He wants you to listen to every single aspect, and that I would not deny. But I, as somebody who dances and has done dance, you
We've seen it.
Yeah,
Chopin definitely dances.
you don't have to be sitting down to
Be myself.
hear it. Sometimes your body will tell you something that's there that your ears do not.
No, of
Like-
course, I get it.
And that's a way of, and you know, and playing music is one way of appreciating it. But I think what you're saying, the core of what you're saying, that he wants you to hear it. It's nothing on that record is there by accident.
Well, no, that's right. I mean, put it this way: like, he's the only dance artist I can think of who people analyze in the way that people listen so closely, like they would do for a kind of, you know, a singer-songwriter's every inflection. He's not pure dance. He's like with many things, he sits on a crossroad of, and this crossroad is feet and head music.
Yeah, I don't think he's pure anything.
He's no,
No, he's not.
He's pure Prince, and that's it.
I mean,
That's so going to be the next T-shirt. Pure Prince.
it's 100% pure Prince.
There's also two things that really are is really interesting, like in terms of hearing a record like for the 10th time, like the first time, is like if you go away and listen to, you know, like the demos and then all the remixes, and there's a demo of Positivity, and there's like, well, why isn't that disjointed keyboard there? Like there's this beautiful, and I'm just like, why isn't there in the record? And then I listen back to the record and it's like, oh, it is there. I just never heard it. And I'm just like, and because like in the demo, I was just like, I was filling up and going, this is amazing. Why isn't this there? And I listened back and it's like, it is there. And it was making me do that, but I didn't hear it. And it was...
It's really extraordinary how much is in there.
Yeah. And also on the like Get Off Maxi single, when you're hearing like Get Off remixes, and then I go, oh, why didn't he put this little bit in there? And then you go back to the original and it's like, oh, that is in there.
There's so many Prince songs, right, that are so full of good things, and then I often find myself thinking another artist would have used the hook that he just chucked in there, and that would have been they would have sat on that for about 3 minutes, and that would have been the basis of their otherwise dull song, right? Prince throws it off once, and then moves on to a new riff. Like he's got so many hooks in every song, and like. It's such an embarrassment of me. He plays them once and moves on.
It's like Symbol is 2 albums happening at the same time in terms of tracks. There's so much density into those tracks that actually it's kind of like too many. Like it's so dense that you can actually separate it out and make 2 different songs with the same amount of tracks.
So, right. I mean, I think. Like talking about sort of patchwork, because that's quite a patchwork album. Sign is like the ultimate patchwork, right? Q magazine at the time said it's a real patchwork of the album. They went, but some of those patches. And I think at this period in Prince's career, every song was like a different adventure. No song is straight.
I think
on Sign of the Times.
Yeah, but if a journalist says patchwork, there's perhaps a slightly negative connotation to it. I always look at Sign of the Times as Prince at his strongest. Again, this is somewhat of a personal opinion, but Prince at his strongest is when he's being the most eclectic, and he's basically throwing a rock song, a pop song, a jazz song, a soul song. That's fucking genius. That is genius, because there are very, very few people who can do that. Now, there are even less people who can do it, but also maintain, not just because their voice sounds like them, but also maintain, I think Andy kind of speaks to this with this idea of sort of, I can't remember the phrase you used, but he still sounds like Prince.
Uh-huh.
And that's not, as I say, not just because it's his voice, because the way that he packages each individual completely different stylistic song still sounds like Prince. Not because it's falsetto possibly or anything like that. It's absolute genius. And for me, his strongest albums were the ones where he stuck to the sort of eclectic feel. And this is why a double album doesn't feel like an effort, because there's just so much difference. And
it was a triple for a while, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah. Well, there were, what was it? Dream Factory, Camille, and Crystal Ball, multiple versions, etc.
What kind of a genius gets rid of a song like Crystal Ball, like from an album? Like that is, I mean, anybody else, that would be. Oh my god! I've created this thing. You have to listen to it. And here's like, nah, you're going to have to wait 20 years, like.
Yeah. Oh, I just did a 10-minute symphony, but I'm not going to put it on the record. Although, actually, that was Warner's, wasn't it, telling him not to, so he didn't quite throw it away.
Well, they didn't say he couldn't release that song. All they said was you can only release two discs.
That is true. He had to, but he had to make decisions, and he decided that didn't fit. But yeah, it just feels like at this stage in his career, and it has been like for me throughout the 80s, but particularly around Sign more than anything, every song he goes, what is the most interesting way to get through this song from point A to come out the other side? What are the most interesting, extraordinary, and yet natural feeling decisions? And it's a mind that is just working like nobody else's mind.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's the same for you guys, is that when you have a non-Prince fan say, oh, what album would you recommend? The Times is the one that I always put forward. I always say, not my personal favourite, but it was the one that I would recommend, and a lot of people call that the pinnacle album to new fans to listen to. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Because it does have a little bit of everything. I've done the same. I've actually did Sign of the Times myself in that same circumstances. And I think the reason I went for it is because it's commercial enough for someone who's into mainstream music to not be scared off, but it's got just about enough of Prince in there, Prince like not commercial, for you to be eased in and kind of start. If you're not used to this and you've never heard Prince before, I think it's just the perfect kind of ease in. It does it without being so confrontational.
Yeah, that's a neat trick, because in isolation, for somebody who's new, how would you explain If I Was Your Girlfriend to somebody? Or how would you explain Dorothy Parker, a track which is the flavour of that track? Oh, and it's a drum machine. It's not a drummer with brushes or something. It's like it's utter genius. There's just no two ways about it.
And Starfish and Coffee as well. Like
the word for me about Sign is rare. As he says in Housequake, the rare Housequake. Everything is very rarefied on this album. It's like it's like one level more controlled, more impeccable, more tasteful, and more inventive than anything else he did for me, I think. Like and there's a lot of accidents in the studio around this album, isn't there? There's apparently the background vocals for backing vocals for Forever in My Life come in at the wrong place. So Prince goes, great, I love that. And then you have the front melody line out of sync with the backing vocals, and it just sounds extraordinary. And then
didn't Susan Rogers do something wrong with If I Was Your Girlfriend, which was a single?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, I love that vocal.
It went into the red. She clipped it. Girlfriend is distorted.
Yeah.
Forever in My Life literally comes in like a bar too early in the background. Dorothy Parker, the desk was underpowered, so there's no bottom line properly. And yet all of them just sound absolutely inspired. And he knew which choices to keep at that point. Which ones work. It was like, there's no need to screw with that. That's perfect.
And it's that thing of like, it's often mentioned that Prince is a perfectionist, but like Susan Rogers said, no, he ain't.
Well, I think in Dwayne Tudor's book, it talks about that quite a lot. And a lot of folks say, no, he was just the opposite. He was fast. He went for feel. He didn't go for perfection. He went for the feel and for the grit of the thing.
How organic it is.
I think maybe he was perfect at points, but he wasn't a perfectionist.
I think once he decided, like, this is recorded, this is the track, I think when we start moving into sort of the live performances and getting the band to play their bit, I think that's when the perfectionism comes into it. But I think with the process of writing and recording, I think it's like, get it out, get it down quick.
I mean, it must have been exhausting to just have all that music coming through you, right?
Yeah.
Well, he calls it a curse, didn't he? In one of the interviews, he says it's a bit of a curse having to constantly have that coming from you.
I think we all wish we had a bit of that curse sometimes, right?
Very true.
I mean, look at the list of songs that are on those outtake discs. Like,
Do you realise we've been doing this for an hour and 8 minutes and we've only just got to the
Longest Prince podcast ever.
This is going to be a 3-hour.
This is going to be a 13-disc podcast, guys. I mean, I still think there's a lot more to say on I Can Never Take the Place You Went, and the joke of it is there is, but
It's funny because it's true.
I mean, I said who sits on a song like Crystal Ball, but who sits on a song like In All My Dreams?
Oh my God, what a song.
Right?
What a song.
Beautiful song.
In a large room with no lights. Who sits on a song like that?
I can think of one guy.
Well, yeah.
But this is a bit like Dylan as well. When he was making stuff, and there would be great stuff that didn't make it onto some of his albums, and the reason is that it doesn't fit a concept ultimately. But you know, I consistently say to people, some of Prince's outtakes from the 80s are better for me than other bands' entire careers, and All My Dreams is one of those songs. It's a real favourite with everyone, right?
Yeah.
It's magnificent. I still wish that one was going out on the parade set, I've got to say.
Well, there's still plenty to go on the parade set.
I know, it just does more parade to me than Sign.
I guess at least this way you can complete Dream Factory, and they don't and that's it. There's no more need to call out for Dream Factory. I think that's why they did it.
Yeah, because you the same thing.
You still got like others here with us, Old Friends for Sale, The Flesh, and the full strings and whatever to go on the.
I forget that All My Dreams was going to be on Dream Factory. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's a way of completing the Dream Factory, because everybody's saying release Camille, which is Rebirth of the Flesh is the only thing you need for that.
Haven't we basically got all the tracks for an arrangement of each of those 3 prior concepts on this? I think Michael Howes, the archivist, said that they had originally looked at, do we do this in that way? Do we do, I'm losing all my names now. Do we do a Camille? Do we do a Crystal Ball, etc., or do we, pick the songs in a different way? But in the end, they wanted to have the content, but not sort of block them off into groups. Right. But if they're all there, you just use your playlists and
create it yourself.
But then some of the singles aren't. But then some of the, I think you've only got the short stroke of "I Feel You Up" streaming. The long stroke isn't streaming, and I'm not entirely sure that it's completely true, because I think there's minor mixes and there's the little.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
I mean, it's released. If you've got the CDs, then you've got it all. But I think you've got like segues, like the way that Joy and Repetition segues in. You've got the way you've got like a jazzy guitar intro to "I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man." So you've basically got the songs, but there are little bits and bobs. But I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't some kind of. I mean, look, they want to get the cash out of us. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Camille pressing for Record Store Day or a Dream Factory for Record Store Day. I mean, come on.
Give me Roadhouse Garden, please.
Yeah, why not?
We'll get rinsed for all this down the line with the extra 8 seconds of music that we haven't got officially.
Guys, can we not give the estate any more ideas, please? Because
they do listen to this, I swear.
Rinse me now!
Yeah,
they're listening to this with a big notepad going, okay.
Okay, so but you're right. I'm kind of glad that I'd forgotten that All My Dreams was on Dream Factory. So I feel better about it being on this now. I take that back. But what songs is everyone particularly excited about on the outtakes? Because I've got a few.
Rebirth of the Flesh, me. That song is killer. Hearing that properly mastered, that is just a banging song. In every respect, love it.
We do get a few seconds of stuff we've apparently never heard on that as well, I think.
The outro, apparently, I'm fascinated by that, yeah.
I've got a weird one, right, which is I absolutely love the song Emotional Pump. I think it's so good. And it's such a strange melody. It's like it's Prince making a melody as difficult and alien as possible, and it still sounds brilliant. And everything about that song is properly perverse. I don't mean the lyrics, I mean a little, but everything is kinky. It's like the phrasing of the melody is weird. The melody of the melody is weird. Well, okay, here's the downside of being a big Prince freak is that when they release all this stuff, like, it's a bit weird because the rest of the world goes, wow, 48 new Prince tracks, and we go, 13 new Prince tracks. We've heard a lot of them. That's where we've mortgaged our futures, guys. And I'm excited about the ones I've never heard of, always.
I'm interested in what version of Soul Psychedelicide. You know, I've heard the studio versions of later eras. I've heard the rehearsal, the hour-long rehearsal of Soul Psychedelicide. And, he's giving commands to tape this section, what have you. And I wonder if it's a studio version made out of that rehearsal or whether it's a completely new thing. Or
how much do you think they'll charge for the year-long version, Shokes?
I'll be paying for 4 months.
I'm looking forward to actually hearing a proper version of Cocoa Boys.
Yeah, a lot of people said that.
I feel like it's a weird one. I remember the first time I heard it, and Prince being a horn section with his mouth just made the whole song for me. Absolutely cracks me up every single time, and I don't know why. It's just one of those tracks that I absolutely adore. So to have an official, crisp version of that track, I'm really looking forward to.
He was doing a few little instrumental tricks with his vocal cords back then. Like on Shockadelica, he does a bit of bass boxing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Human bass box, which sounds really cool because it's Prince.
So I thought that you'd be really like waiting for the ball.
I can't remember what's on there right now. The ball is on there, right?
Yeah.
I'm totally waiting for the ball. It's just that emotional pump has just become something that I'm sort of obsessed by in the last few weeks. I've heard it before, but didn't pay it much attention, and now it's like it's not top of my list. There's loads of the ball is great. The ball, to me, we've never had a particularly clean version, have we? And I mean, there's such an embarrassment of riches on here. I haven't really thought about which is my favourite. The ball, to me, sounds like if somebody could make a psychedelic pinball machine in a swimming pool sound like music, that would be the ball, and that someone is Prince. I love that
description.
It's really just, I mean, it's just, he was just painting such weird pictures back then. They're just peculiar. Nothing's normal. And
what are you looking forward to? Sorry, what are you looking forward to, Chopin?
It says Soul Psychedelicide. Weirdly power fantastic with the jazzy intro in really like perfect quality. I'm intrigued to hear the early version of Forever in My Life vocal run through.
Yeah, early vocal run thing. Yeah.
One thing that I am kind of interested to hear is Eggplant, because there was 2 songs that they didn't release for the 1999 Extra Lovable and Lust You Always because of the lyrics don't stand up to time, and they're not, because mentioning rape in songs. But Eggplant has got, you got, I think it's Wendy saying, oh, she's retarded, which again now is like uncomfortable lyrical territory. And I wonder if there's a version of that doesn't say that, or whether they just didn't think that was as controversial as the other lyrics, because it's, like as we're looking at stuff that stands the test of time. And I actually think it's interesting to release them with the context of Prince decided not to release this, and I'd be fascinated for that reason, just to hear that. And I love that song anyway, but that's kind of like one of those kind of, you listen to this good song and it's like, oh yeah, well that's showing its time.
I would also rather that they didn't try to abridge anything, that they, that's what he recorded. It's a historical document, blah, blah, blah. And like there's not a lot of hate in Prince's music.
No.
Yeah.
Because at the same time he's writing something like Starfish and Coffee, so it's
or The Cross.
Yeah. The Cross, yeah.
I mean, well, that's a big, that's a generous song, right? That's a really compassionate song.
Well, I think I say Starfish and Coffee more because it's about somebody with an intellectual disability, and the counterpoint to like Wendy saying she's retarded, and
when Wendy says that, it feels to me like kind of Valley speak or something like.
Yeah, I know it absolutely is. It
probably was at the time.
And it is, but that's what I think we're saying. It's like sometimes things pop out as a thing of their time. Not that I'm particularly, I'm not about to destroy my Prince collection based on any of those examples that I've played. Chiefly because they're things that he kind of listened to, and the thing he chose to release was Starfish and Coffee rather than that. Yeah. So that in itself, to me, is why this box set is interesting, because it shows you he moves so fast, doesn't think about it, and then when it comes to releasing it, that's when he makes the decision.
Right. That's true. And Eggplant is a silly song. It's a comedy song. It's a genius comedy song because it's not anything else on earth. But it's for Prince. It's a throwaway.
Songs that he gave for Lisa or Wendy to do the main vocal on, how attached was he to those songs? Because like things like Our Destiny, seems like he thought that was quite important, and A Place in Heaven he records with his vocal and with her vocal, and this he is just with hers. It's just kind of like that. That's why this box set is fascinating. These box sets are fascinating because it goes into the decision making and like, does it sound better with me? Does it sound better with her? Am I this attached to this song?
His opinion of a song might have had different agendas at different times. Like I think, for instance, The Glamorous Life was a very important song for him to hand off because he wanted to launch Sheila E.'s career. So that wasn't a throwaway at all. And like A Love Bizarre is a fantastic track, but he's doing it to bolster something that he cares about a lot at that point, which is Sheila's career.
And the time stuff.
What's an interesting intersection here is that, like, on Sign of the Times, he has his own alter ego. He has Camille.
Yeah.
So, like, he's handing off tracks to Camille. I mean, we know they came from the Camille project, but the tracks are so freaking good. And they add another dimension to Sign of the Times, which, it just makes it deeper and richer still.
I like the idea that Camille is basically like his way of bringing back in-house Wendy and Lisa's vocals.
I don't think it's.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, I don't like. He's going back to his kind of. I don't need a band. I don't need female backing singers. I can just play.
I don't hear it like that. I just hear it like it's just like. Whatever the song needs, it's like whatever costume the song needs to wear, and like the Camille songs, nearly always deal with some kind of sexual kind of confusion, right? Rock Hard in a Funky Place, Strange Relationship. Obviously, If I Was Your Girlfriend, and then there's a couple of bangers there, like Housequake is Camille again, like. Who have you got on emceeing tonight for your house party? It's Camille. That's why it's Housequake. It sounds so weird. So, but it just seems to me like another way to go. Like, there's a theatre within the theatre.
Interestingly, Rock Hard in the Funky Place, I don't think is streaming either because the Black Album isn't. So that's another way in which you can't make the Camille album unless you've got the CDs.
Yeah, they're going to sell us it in the future.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
I'm saying, give them ideas.
I'm sorry.
They've got these ideas, Lee. They go, these suckers are going to buy anything.
I've told them news, gatefold vinyl. Here's the money.
Now, if they brought out news on LP and it opened the same way as the CD, oh my.
Did Chopin just jump out of his chair?
I literally have said that. I'm like,
they could even do like an Earth picture disc. Just saying.
Okay, that is actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah. I wouldn't do the picture disc because the picture discs don't sound as good. But if they had slip mats,
I could see it. I could see it in his eyes.
The compass slip mat.
The compass on, yes.
Yeah, compass one side, the Earth the other side. Yeah.
If you guys get kidnapped by Paisley Park, I'm not paying the ransom.
And we don't want you to ransom.
Oh no! What a nightmare!
Leave us here.
Paisley Park.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, damn, I'm here in the vault with all these tapes making...
No, don't play me them music tracks.
Don't play me.
Don't play me.
So when is this thing being released again? September the what now?
Yeah, September the Too Far Away.
It's not as far away, though, I've noticed, right, as we inch through.
September 25th.
25th. Oh, that's miles away. What am I saying? That's like 20 years from now.
I'd laugh if like the vaccine comes just the week before and it's like everything's open. All the Prince fans are like, no, we're in lockdown again.
It says expected ship date September 23rd on the website.
23rd. Okay, what are we now? Let's have a look. Now I'm getting really excited. So
we should do a second podcast with the follow-up to this of when we've actually got it all.
Strange Relationship Shep Pettibone mix.
Oh yeah, I'm interested. I never quite like it if it's not Prince's as much. But you know what? I really like the Glam Slam remix he did. I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, I'm fascinated because Shep Pettibone is remixes a lot of Madonna stuff at the time, and I love those remixes. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, and the bridge between the two. Great.
Yeah, no, I think it could be great. A Strange Relationship has always had that really great club beat in it, even though I maintain Prince isn't a dance artist, because that song is complex.
There is a version of Strange Relationship that I was really hoping would be on here, and I hope one of you guys might be able to help me here. I heard a version of that song, and it's got like a sitar at the start.
I think that version is on here.
That is on, yeah.
Is it on there?
Yeah. That's the more Wendy and Lisa-esque version before he pared it down, I think.
Yes. Yeah, Strange Relationship, I think, as original version. So that would be the sitar.
I love that version.
It was the version that was on Dream Factory. And indeed, that is my favourite version of that song as well. I really do like that. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Oh, wow. You know what? I've never for me, it's the studio version every time. But, the release version on Sign. But I look forward to revisiting that one. I think maybe I've never paid it quite enough attention. What about the two versions of Witness for the Prosecution that we're getting?
That song is, again, another absolutely
brilliant
superb song. That's one that I suppose we've been more fortunate it's been around in decent a decent copy for many years. But I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between the two. I may have only we're getting the two most extreme versions here. We're getting the more extreme version. One of them is the kind of Hendrixy Sly Stone type feel one, which we know. And then the other one is the abstracted Prince going solo and turning it into a kind of electro-funk number, which is an amazing version.
I like the fact that the estate put it on YouTube with the announcement all around about the same time as the announcement. I thought that was very clever.
I actually, when I first streamed it on Spotify, I was actually speaking to you about it, wasn't I, Paddy? And I said, when I first heard it, I was like, this is like the perfect track that Prince could have plucked out of the vault and played with Third Eye Girl. I think it would have really translated well.
It would have worked. I remember playing this. I remember many years ago when our current and long-standing bass player, Ryan, joined the band. I'd already got him. He was already interested and blah, blah, blah. And he came round to my house and I thought, what awesome Prince stuff can I play him that he won't ever have heard before? And I played him Witness the Prosecution. I just remember his eyes lighting up. It's like, oh my God, why is this not on an album? I said, right, you're starting to get it now.
You know, the good thing is now it's been released, you can put it in the set.
I was going to ask that question. Is there anything you plan to add to your set now?
It's a blessing and a curse doing Prince's music because there are so many tracks that are tracks that have yet to see the light of day or that are coming out soon on this that I'd love to put in. There's nothing specific, if I'm honest, that can. We're slipping towards the medleyization of so many things, so we can cram more in. I think that's the only way that things are going to see the light of day, unless I sort of block off a section of our set list that's always something that people probably won't know, but that we just need to play, and that the 10% of the audience who know what they're listening to are dying to listen to. It's kind of that kind of thing.
You can always chuck in a riff in a different key, kind of at the end of.
You might have to start doing a sampler set like Prince.
Well, I like to stay light on that. I think if you're cheeky enough to do a tribute band, you've got to play the instruments. Otherwise, you get shot. But I've been wanting to put bloody G-Spot in a set for fuck knows how long. There's so many. Again, Rebirth of the Flesh is one for me that I think live would resonate beautifully as a if people didn't know it, it's like as a standalone boom boom boom.
I mean, how could you describe a song like Rebirth of the Flesh? I mean, I'm curious because what a strange thing.
Absolutely. Again, a perfect example of Prince's consistent innovation and the fact that he can do things that just sound like Prince. I always thought with like Parade, that whole album, it just nobody's ever made anything that sounds like that did. And there was certainly nothing at the time that sounds like that did.
No.
And that was, that's all about the X Factor.
Is that Parade?
Genius. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, I can't think of another album that sounds like Parade.
Nothing. I mean, similar to Love Sex is kind of the same. It's just, it's singularly iterative. It's just him. Amazing.
It is amazing. I like Rebirth of the Flesh, jazz, psychedelic rock, a bit of hip hop in there. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I'll just cut myself and bleed if I try and describe what that song should be. It's no.
Maybe just listen to it. It's true.
Please send your answers on a postcard. I'll be in the comments now.
All answers anonymous.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you describe Rebirth of the Flesh?
I mean, I couldn't start.
I always find that, like how, there's the Prince music has these branches and songs set along these branches, and we've discussed it before, some of us. But I always think with Rebirth of the Flesh is that like a seed one. It's the first time you hear him do that snare drum pound on the 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And then you hear it in Glam Slam Escape, you hear it live, and little bits of it permeate throughout.
Yeah, because of course the Solia Colia bit got used in Walk Don't Walk, didn't it?
Yeah.
I've totally forgotten, but
and I think I sometimes think that like these really good songs, like 9 to 5 People as well, like the reason they don't get used is because they're basically he uses them like a farm for riffs. If they don't come out when they meant to come out, then they become a farm for riffs.
A riff farm, I love it.
Yeah.
Down on the riff farm.
Down on the riff farm.
the guy sure harvested a lot of grooves.
From 1979, as we now know, for Sign of the Times. Like,
that is such a nice thought. A riff farm, I love it.
There are loads of songs that just like they don't get released, but bits of them make their way out. Like
there was that kind of sort of very Eastern guitar line he played with a million times before finally putting it onto the Max.
This rave.
Love the Max.
Andy,
are you being converted into a 90s fan?
No, I preferred it when he played it at the small club. But it was such a killer riff, and it just didn't find a place forever. And then I like the Max; it's a good song, but it could have gone on 20 different tracks, that riff.
But they also that ended up being used again on "We Live to Get Funky" as like in the 2010s. So that riff was used over and over again. The Max, Rave into the Joy Fantastic, We Live to Get Funky.
He liked it live a lot.
Yeah.
Wrote it on record.
Okay, so I have a question for everyone. Sorry. Go on, Leah.
Right, I was just going to throw in, there's a riff on Emancipation on My Computer, which obviously then got used again for Musicology. I remember I heard that track after I heard Musicology, and I was listening to the album and was like, wait, what? that shouldn't be here.
I haven't noticed that.
It's right at
More
the end of
homework.
Yeah, no,
No, you're right. It uses like the first half of My Computer riff and then adds a little embellishment. I've never noticed that. That's a great catch.
yeah. He uses part of the Let's Go Crazy like dance mix in Love Left, Love Right. He plays one of the guitar lines on the synth that da 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 da.
The best one's when he just goes, "Damn it! I just written a song called Get Off. I need to write a new one called Get Off, and I'll just add an extra T."
Well, this apparently Love and Sex on this is different than Love and Sex on the Purple Rain Deluxe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if it's a different song, like because there's two songs called The Max.
Aren't they both? Aren't those Love and Sex songs both based? They're both kind of a quasi cover of an older song anyway, a non-Prince song.
Lee, what was your question?
My question is, you get the box set on the day. What is the first track you will play?
Good.
Or do you play it from the start? Or do you play a specific track? Or do you go straight to the outtakes? What are you?
I'd do the remaster first. I want to. I from the perspective of, I think this is one of the albums that could most benefit from a really stellar remaster. So for me, I want to hear the album remastered. I think they did a good job with 1999, a reasonable job, although it was Prince's actual remaster, I suppose, for Purple Rain. But I really want to hear the remaster, so I'd go straight to that and do it in order, I think.
Smart.
Sign of the Times as a track is my go-to track. If I've got new headphones, new speakers, it's my track that I always put on to test them. So mine will go straight to the album from the start and run through.
That's cool. Mine Kiss, incidentally, to test new headphones.
I said that'd be a cool question. What's your Prince test sound equipment track?
Mine.
No, you can see Chopin's thinking.
Oddly enough, I've actually done it with Doves. If I turn stuff up really loud, it'd be Doves because of the sort of flat, sort of the non-remastered version, the sort of flat power of it. Doves. Yeah, Doves.
Yeah, if you know the audio dynamics that you expect to hear, that's why you choose a song like that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why it'd be something that you were familiar with. So I think if I was testing it, I think the audio that I'm most familiar with would be like Get Off, Violet, the Organ Grinder, or Thunder. Because that's the ones that I.
Yeah. If they feel right, you can make love.
Yeah. The problem is like those like the CDs of, I think Sign of the Times is going to be one. Like a remaster that might end up being a go-to because that intro, that bassy synth, the currently Love Sexy, Sign of the Times, Around the World in a Day are kind of really thin and quiet and on CD, and it's just like that remastered could be a good.
But so you're going to go and listen to the whole album first, Paddy, which I think is really admirable, and I think I'm going to try to. I think it will be hard for me not to just jump straight into the outtakes because I read
that vault. Those, I get you. I do hear where you're coming from with those vault CDs. I really do.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to play the DVD first.
Sure, I forgot about the DVD.
Yeah, sure.
We haven't even.
Would you read
the
book?
We haven't, have we?
You could read the book while you're listening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point. Chopin, what are you going to do when you first get it, apart from doing the unboxing video with a small knife?
Cry to myself in the corner with joy. Then possibly think about opening it. Do you know what I mean? I think look at it with wonderment, like the Monolith in 2010. Do you know? But I think I'm going to go with the album. And just in album, the single edits, single remixes, then onto the outtakes, then onto the live, just work through it. And then this is what I did with 1999 and then the DVD last. Just
got such restraint.
Yeah, I mean, it's after all of that new stuff, I know I'm just going to want to listen and absorb that stuff again and again and again. So I don't want to, it's almost like, I don't want to still have the remaster to listen to a month down the road, because if I start listening to the outtakes first or watching the video first, it is just going to be repeat consumption of those for a long while before I'm going to go back to the album version. So I think it's kind of like making sure I listen, appreciate, read, gives me time to read the notes.
Here's a question for you on a related subject. When was the last time any of you guys listened to the outtakes from the 1999 Super Deluxe?
Wednesday.
couple of days ago.
Yeah. I just was curious as to whether we all listen to them way, and then it falls off sometimes.
No, do you know that night again?
Amazing set, by the way. Those outtakes.
The 1999 release was a revelation itself. Absolutely. After the Purple Rain one was done, and unfortunately, obviously, I know he was involved in doing that remaster. I'm not sure if he was involved in the content of the outtakes or not.
I doubt it very much.
No.
So for me, the first sort of true, oh God, I hate to even say it, post-Prince effort release of one of his original albums. How I really desperately wanted it to be 1999 first, actually, because of the mechanical aspects, the groundbreaking aspects. I'm a devotee to Lindrum and everything that it means and how he produced and used Lindrum. But that release is I
thought it was an extraordinary release, and
so consequently, yes, I've listened to those very recently. Sorry,
I found myself the other day realizing they've fallen off rotation a bit, and I went back and basically did the lot of them again.
Oh, dude, 5 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I did a similar thing. I listened to it like crazy when it first came out, and it has kind of drifted off a little bit, and I find myself going back to certain tracks. It's been a very long time since I've gone, right, I'm going to put that on and just have that in the background playing through.
Tell you what I do find, if I'm listening to it on Spotify and I do different sort of random Prince playlists, I love using a lot of the single edits or a lot of the songs shorter versions, because you're hearing a slightly different version, and if I'm going on a walk you can fit more in, but you're still getting the song rather than listening to 8 minutes of it. You listen to 3 minutes, like Automatic, for example, a short version of that.
Yeah.
So as well as having them because it's good for completism, as per Shops, etc., I love the flexibility and resilience it gives you with things like Spotify, love it or hate it, and playlists.
Can I make a confession with that?
Go on.
I think Automatic runs out of steam on the album, and it just kind of, it's a fantastic start, but I think by the end of it, it's kind of like,
there are times when curtailing them to singles doesn't do them any harm.
Yeah.
I feel dirty thinking about it, but I do. Sometimes I think that, for me, the 1999 release, this will be relevant to what you just said, I think, but actually, I thought it was so well curated, it was so well mastered, it was so well sequenced, and listening to all of the outtakes, totally, not that I'm ever that far out of it, but it totally got me back into that perfect listening mode where you understand every beat that Prince is, every moment, that you're totally in Prince's musical world again when you listen to those outtakes. And so when you listen to something like the long version of Automatic and you're in the goddamn mood, great. But I think of all the long songs on 1999, that's the one that sometimes falls off for me. Sure.
Yeah, that's what. See, the way I listen to it now is like, because I've got Tidal, and so what I've done is created a playlist, and it's all of the unreleased material that has been released posthumously, and I've put them in date of record order. So it starts with a Feel For You demo and goes all the way up to Witness for the Prosecution, and it includes all of the stuff that was on the Purple Rain Deluxe, 1999 Deluxe, originals, all the kind of the little singles, Nothing Compares to You. So I've put those in one long playlist, and what that was interesting for is seeing how much has actually been released since he died, and it's about 63 tracks long.
Yeah. So
it's in what 4 years, 63 songs. There's not many artists that released that when they were alive.
I know, we know.
It's going to be more.
They ain't doing too badly. You know what I mean?
The thing I always say to people who don't know how much Prince did is like, the more you know about him, the less you believe it.
Yeah.
Like the less you believe how much he produced and how much great stuff he produced. But that 1999 set was so good as well that I was then able to go back to the Purple Rain CD and I could relax around it and just listen to it because it was such a scrappy release. But once I realised that the 1999 set, that was when I got my peaceful night's sleep. They're doing something.
I really think down the line, after they've done a few releases, they will do another release of Purple Rain with a bigger set. I think it'll happen.
40th anniversary or something.
And they should do it. It's a bad release, but I could stop. It just sounded like a lot of nothing the way they sequenced it, which is a terrible thing to do to Prince or anyone. But you know, they're doing it right now, so that I think we're happy, right? Happy guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Purple Rain could use a good revisit, but in a while, I think there's a lot of his catalogue. I mean, I'm kind of purpled out, to be quite honest. I'll be honest with you.
I was saying, I think it was
purpled out.
I so want Parade, Love Sexy, venturing into the 90s. Let's have it.
Symbol, Diamonds and Pearls, Symbol, Diamonds and Pearls, Symbol, Diamonds and Pearls.
Yeah.
Let's wait for the sign of the times first. This is why they don't need us to give them ideas. They know we will go for this stuff.
Rubbing our arms outside Paisley Park going, you got any more reissues?
Yeah. Oh, man. I go cold turkey before I even get No, but like this, I've been spending years making these wish lists, like listening to bootlegs and making wish lists in my head. You know, Diamonds and Pearls reissue with the full 10-minute like ballet suite of Thunder and Poor Little Bastard, and the live jam sessions with those guys were exceptional. You know, Exodus is basically, there's is a double album waiting to happen with, extended versions of Hallucination Rain. You know, like wherever you go in his career, I mean, there's albums that we don't even know exist that he's finished. Rainbow Children, there's a Rainbow Children 2 by all accounts, like with artwork finished. You know, so
movies that haven't come out that could come out.
3121 movie, or Lotus Flower movie. Is it re-edited too?
Surely there's enough material. I'd not necessarily ever want this, but surely there's enough material for another Originals album as well.
Oh, and then some. One of my personal wish lists is like, apparently the song Love Song, which ended up on Like a Prayer, was just one of the songs on a cassette tape full of stuff that Prince and Madonna were sending tapes back and forth and that they were doing with each other. So like, I don't know how many tracks there were that they were working on, but it was more than one, so I'd want to hear those.
There's also I've wanted this for years, and I suspect with the way that they're doing things, it'd probably never happen. There's certainly been enough stuff recorded, but because they're releasing, or they appear to be doing sort of live releases as part of the album sets. But I remember reading an interview with Alan Leeds, and it was asked like, so, I believe Alan Leeds, I think, was the tour manager, somebody correct me, from 83 to 92. So for me, that was when all the, again, purely my opinion, all the best shows probably took place by and large over that time. But he was saying, there was so much stuff recorded, and the thought of somebody actually releasing like a multi-disc live anthology sort of across that time period, it'd be huge and wieldy and expensive. But my God, as a piece of work from a performer, if you think of, again, the eclecticism, consistent innovation across that time, different bands, it would be stellar, and it'd never be touched, and it couldn't be touched. I
think, like, just think for one show line, if you're just picking one song from each track. That live version of Thieves in the Temple from Diamonds and Pearls tour, where it's like Egyptian, for somebody else, that would be the pinnacle of their life career. For him, it is merely a footnote that hardcores know about. I'm really happy that the long form Beautiful Night with Miles Davis is getting the video release that it deserves, like from the master tape.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so happy that that's the DVD that's coming out.
We haven't even talked about that. Isn't that crazy? But
yeah.
It's actually the bit I'm most excited about.
It's a great, it's an amazing thing. The last 20 minutes of that, where he just, to me, that is like a tour of Black American music from jazz to the present day, when he throws in 1,000 riffs from 1,000 songs. They play Mother Popcorn by James Brown. They play Chain of Fools by Aretha. They chuck in the horn line from A Train. And then, of course, you've got Miles, which is, I will say about that concert, when Miles is on stage with Prince, that is the only time in Prince's entire career that I've ever seen him look nervous, apart from maybe that James Brown, that weird video of him at James Brown.
Yeah.
Prince actually, like, Miles comes on and Miles goes like, I love you, but I'm kind of you're my sub right now. And, I've never seen Prince at all in awe of anyone like that before.
And it's interesting that what's circulating so far, because, a large part of this concert is already circulating in pretty good quality and sound. From the drum solo up to the end, and there's a little clip of Sign of the Times that was used in the Omnibus special. But there's some interesting tracks for a Sign of the Times set list on this. The Let's Pretend We're Married is on it. Again,
these are all the ones that he was rehearsing, those arrangements. You can hear them on the soundboards from the tour rehearsals. Yeah, you've got Let's Pretend We're Married, Delirious, Jack You Off, and then there's another like Slow Love, Do Me Baby, and Adore. The absolute brilliant, running some of the sort of brass flurries to go from one song to the other with the ballads. It's just phenomenal. Like I say, Erotic City. Whoa. Absolutely. With Erotic City with drum machine usage as opposed to acoustic versions as well. That's just lovely in and of itself, because I think the only other time we heard it was the birthday show, was it? In terms of a gig and a concert?
I can think of, yeah.
We're not including like sampler sets.
Or rehearsals or something, rehearsal tapes and something. Erotic City, yeah.
Sorry.
I think later on it's in the Love Sexy tour introduction in a kind of medleyed form, but I don't think it's never expansive. Like, it's not the whole song.
Yeah. It was very stripped down, I think, on Love Sexy. It sounded a lot more of a sort of acoustic version, although the drum loop or part of it was there.
Yeah.
It's insane how many horn lines were added to the live shows around that time. That like brilliant, just like you say, Paddy, just for segues or to end songs. Like, there was on the Sign tour, he puts in this amazing horn line at the end of Girls and Boys to finish it off.
Yeah.
And like, you're just like, that never got onto a song. That's brilliant. And like, just horn lines that other people would give their, right arm to just have on a recorded song to be the biggest hit of their career. He just throws them off as flourishes to make a live experience flow.
Yeah, no, mind blown. He's the king of the segue. Some of the stuff he did for key changes was absurd as well, particularly when you're trying to learn them. It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
I love that they've done this show also, because it's kind of like a halfway house between, the Sign of the Times tour kind of organically changing through rehearsal process and stuff into the Love Sexy era. You can see his hair's grown out into the kind of Love Sexy hair. And it's that weird thing of, we think of Prince in these really solid, like, visual eras. I don't know if not so much sonically, but anybody, like, I see you nodding, Leah, because I know you're another visual costume fan like myself.
Yeah.
It's like they go through these really kind of stark visual eras, but there's these weird pictures that come, that are photo sessions that are in between phases, like the 1991 that's half graffiti bridge, half diamonds and pearls beard, you know, like, then you've got like this era where you've got like Love Sexy band still on the peach and black but with Love Sexy hair, and it's just really interesting. It's the perfect show in a box of process. You know, it shows coming up to Love Sex. It not only tells you what, you know, coming up to Sign of the Times, but the change afterwards. It really covers the whole period. Like the you know, like the outtakes take you from, you know, developing into this stunning album, into the tour, and then the DVD takes you, you know, opens the door a little to the next step. And I think it's a fantastically well-rounded box set for that.
Agree strongly.
Yeah, well said. Very much so.
I'd say we've got about 5 more minutes left, and because that's 2 hours and this is long.
So that was the end of Sign of the Times Part 1.
So the second song on the album, playing...
We didn't even go into Big Tall Wall.
God, we haven't even spoken about Shockadelica yet. I mean, for heaven's sake.
To be fair, we haven't really spoken about the actual release yet. We tried.
Well, thank you all for giving your time, this expansive time, talking about what is a fantastic album and what I'm sure is going to be a fantastic box set. Looking forward to it, and love seeing everybody else is just as excited as I am about it, and some of you a bit more.